Hi, this is Amber.
And this is Lisa.
And you're listening to Unexplained Arkansas, a new podcast that explores urban legends, mysteries, and the unsolved in the natural state.
We're just two best friends discussing the unexplained in Arkansas. This episode is sponsored by OPB Sanitation. If you live in the White County area of Arkansas and need trash service, call OPB Sanitation at 501-281-2481. They have been servicing this area for many years, since 2008. They have reliable professional service. You can find them on Facebook. And also they have a website. So definitely reach out again to OPB Sanitation at 501-281-2481. Definitely mention code Unexplained Arkansas for your first month's free service. Thank you so much.
Hello, and welcome to Unexplained Arkansas. This is Amber.
And this is Lisa.
Are you just going to sing it every time?
Yes.
Okay,
and I'm still in pajamas. Sure. We're recording like 2 episodes today.
Yes, and
guys.
I am fully dressed, and I've already been to the grocery store. So.
Oh wow. I have done a lot as well, but I've just done it in my PJs.
Yeah. Okay, so this is episode 35.
Yes.
Correct? 35.
35.
And today we are going to be talking about the White River Monster out of Jackson County. So Lisa is our storyteller today, and I'm so excited because I've heard lots of things here and there, like my entire life, about the White River Monster. So I want to hear some more stuff because it's really interesting, and it's it's an old story. People have been talking about it for years.
Yes, it's so old, and you'll find out exactly how old. Maybe crazy, maybe. So we're gonna go right into this episode. So since the 1850s, there have been stories of a monster lurking in the waters of the White River. Is this monster still there today? Ponder on that. Was this monster truly a monster the size of many car links, as people said? Was it reptilian? Was it dragon-like? Manatee-like? There have been so many different descriptions. And there's so many questions. But first, we're going to explore the history of the White River. What do you think?
I'm excited. Yep.
Yeah.
And we actually went down there yesterday. So
we visually saw it. Like we put our eyes.
We visually saw. How else can you see something besides visually?
Well, we didn't just see it on the computer or whatever. But I'll get into that too because I did watch a lot of YouTube videos. So the White River spans a length of 722 miles, which sounds like, that sounds crazy long. And we will post, I'll kind of get into it, post a pic. But it begins in the Boston Mountains in the northwest section of the state. And the river actually winds upward into Missouri before it continues down into Arkansas. And it goes down kind of the side of Arkansas in between us. And it's going to meet and run into the Mississippi River in Dacia County. And did I say that right? Is that Dacia?
I think it's Desha.
Desha? It looks like Desha, Dacia. Yeah,
it might be Dacia.
Desha. So
I don't know. Someone from that county, let us know.
Yes, let us know, please. So, and again, I will post a pic of the river and where it runs because it's very interesting that it's going to run, up and then come back down. But according to the Rogers Historic Museum website, which discusses Beaver Lake there, in the northwest section of the state, the name the White River was given by the Cherokee tribe, which settled into the region in the early 1800s. And they actually called it, in their language, Unica, meaning white, due to the fact that the river was so incredibly clear. And everywhere I found that was kind of the consensus, is how clear this White River is. Because a lot of rivers, you always hear about the Mississippi, the muddy, mighty Mississippi. So the White River is clearer than the Mississippi. The White River is also much shorter than the Arkansas River. However, it carries just as much water. So even though it's shorter, it's putting out the same water supply. In fact, in the early 1900s through 1958, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers have been involved with, 5 major dam projects that we're aware of, creating many of the lakes that we all know and love here in the state, like Beaver Lake, the Bull Shoals Lake, Table Rock Lake, and then Greer's Ferry Lake. So a lot of these dam projects have produced these awesome lakes that are major tourist attractions across the state and into Missouri area. In the 1830s, steamboats were running the river, moving, because they talk about the northern part of the river, kind of the top part of the river, ran very quickly. Now, the bottom side of the river, once it kind of hit Batesville, it said that it kind of slowed down, but these steamboats were really popular and they were running along the river. The steamboats were moving supplies. They were moving crops back and forth between the major river towns like Memphis and New Orleans. So the steamboats would eventually be replaced by the railroads right after the Civil War, which was, of course, happening in the 1850s, 60s. So for about 30 years time frame, the steamboats were a major, functionality there, a main source of like getting all the goods around. Now, something that yesterday we did go down, to put our eyes, on the White River. So it said a major place to go was Newport. And we'll kind of get into that. But we did go to Jacksonport, and we did not see the steamboat, but evidently there is still a steamboat there.
Yes,
and so
we didn't see that.
Yes, we didn't see that. We did have Max with us.
My 2-year-old.
Yes. So that
was interesting.
It was interesting. We kind of talked about that. You'll hear about that in episode 34, but we'll interpose some items about that later on. So, but yes, so we didn't actually see the steamboat, but evidently you can go see the steamboat there in Newport. So I will plug that. Okay, so the White River is just very important in regard to our state's wildlife and ecological systems. In 1935, the White River National Wildlife Refuge was established, and it's under the supervision of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to protect, and this was its main point, to protect the migratory bird species. This sanctuary is 160,000 acres. And it is the largest remaining bottomland hardwood forest in the Mississippi River Valley. I found that interesting. And 160,000 acres. That just sounds huge. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, today the White River is being protected and is super important, especially to communities like Stuttgart, which relies on the river for agricultural needs, but also for their thriving, tourism of the duck hunting. So
yes,
there have been, even to this day, there are a lot of talk about, we want to do this, we want to do that for different reasons. Like I did read an article that was wanting to kind of dredge part of the river to make it more accessible for some barges, but that is very, very much against what a lot of conservationists are wanting, and also even the city of Stuttgart, because it is, it could definitely, that dredging, even making it a little bit wider or deeper, could really mess up, the migratory birds, and it could just mess up a lot.
That
we
would
just
be
don't
devastating
know.
For Stuttgart.
Yes.
It really would. My husband is from Stuttgart, born and raised. Yes.
Yes, I meant to say that because we talked about his life there. Does he duck hunt?
He did when he lived there. And
Oh,
actually, his dad duck hunted one time with George Foreman, the guy with the grills.
Yes. Okay. That's awesome.
Yes. And the duck calls, his family has like some of the first duck calls from the Rich Tone. I don't know. I guess that's a thing. So
wow.
Yeah, they were really heavy into all that.
But
he doesn't duck hunt now. So
okay. Yeah. Now that he's not in the Stuttgart area, now that he has
area.
Amber and 3 boys, he's kind of busy. He's a busy man. So that's kind of the history there, kind of the background. So now we're going to discuss the monster, okay?
The monster.
You ready? So the Newport Independent, which is the Newport and Jackson County newspaper that goes all the way back into, the late 1800s and such.
Yeah, that's where I found my stuff for Caroline Dye.
Oh, good. They're a plethora of information. So they really are. The Newport Independent, we're going to plug them. But they state the earliest sightings of the White River Monster was actually in 1850 by 3 indigenous people.
Really?
So the story goes that these men were fishing along the banks there at the White River where the White River and the Black River swirled together. Yes. And one of the men came back and told the story in broken, breathless English because he was very upset about what happened. And he stated that this sighting happened in the part of the day when the great magic can occur. And I think that was like dusk. Is that what you call dusk, or is that what do you call that? When the sun's going down, sunset.
Well, I mean, in photography terms, you call that like golden hour or whatever. That's when you can get really good photos. So maybe it has something to do with that hour before the sun goes down. I mean, it is beautiful at that time.
It is beautiful, and it feels pretty magical. So yeah, they felt like it was the magic hour. So they were fishing all afternoon. They weren't catching anything. So they decided that they needed to do a chant to the river god. And as they chanted, a huge creature, which looked to be half man and half fish, rose from the river. And the creature was said to... It sounds like it, but it doesn't...
Sounds like King Triton.
It does, but what's interesting here? It doesn't say if the top half was man or if the bottom half was man. I mean, I'm assuming.
Weird.
I mean, I'm assuming
so
the bottom half
running
because
around
it was fish
with legs. And
like
how did they know
legs.
it was a man? Wait a minute, never mind.
That's for a whole nother episode. No, I'm just kidding. We'll discuss that later. This creature, when it came out, was said to grab one of the men and pulled him into the river and ate him.
Ate him?
And ate him like he was dead.
I'm not trying to laugh at the poor man that got eaten by the manfish, but
it sounds like you are, Amber.
I'm just astounded by that.
Yes, and it sounds like you need to put your phone.
My phone's got a battery.
No joke. I get that notification all the time. So when these men, or these two, the 2 men that were left, when they went to the local authorities were very skeptical of all of this. And the other, they felt like the 2 men had killed their friend, but they could never find evidence to suggest this. And the men did seem extremely upset about their friend dying, from this fish happening allegedly. So this was the story. I mean, this was in their newspaper. So fast forward 40 years later, another story came about. This one, and this was in the same article. So this states in 1890, the Sternwheeler Princess, which I guess was like a steamboat, had stopped for the evening on the river. The crew was taking on wood while the passengers kind of mingled about, kind of enjoying their little, stop. And without warning, it said that the riverboat was rammed port side, and I believe that's the left side, as if it was hit by a large barge. So that's how it felt. The jolt of this threw the justice of the peace, J.T. Wilburn, overboard, and he disappeared.
Oh my gosh, it killed the preacher? Mm-hmm. Or was it a preacher or justice of the peace?
I mean, it says justice of the peace. So.
Okay.
So another man down. When the crew and passengers, when this happened, when they looked into
some Moby Dick vibes here. I mean, I don't think this creature likes men, likes people.
Speaking of which, if you Google, yes, this definitely has some Moby Dick going on, like the pictures. I guess the imagery is that. But when the crew and passengers looked into the water, all they saw was a huge fin of a gigantic creature. So they just said that this creature was gigantic. And I mean, it hit this steamboat and it was chaos. So this was in the 1890s.
Wow.
I mean,
that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
It is crazy. So additionally, many sightings were mentioned in the 1800s. And like I said, those first, stories were from the 1850s and then the 1890s. So into the early 1900s, more stories are being told. But the White River Monster really gained national recognition in 1937. Okay. So the story goes that Dee and Sylvia Wyatt, and this was according to AY Magazine article, and then other sources that I've pulled. And I will be posting source material and pictures, which I normally forget to post. So I will totally remember.
So you're always on me about posting my stuff. And I'm like, when do you post yours?
Shut up. We're not talking about me. No, just kidding. I will post. I promise, guys. I promise to do better. But Dee and Sylvia Wyatt were sharecroppers, and they were working and living along the White River near Newport, and saw that they had what they thought, oh, did you hear that? Was what was thought to be a drowning horse. So they were really confused by what they were seeing. They didn't say anything to anyone because they didn't want to sound, crazy. But then they continue to see this creature. Like over a few days, they continue to see it. So they went and talked to their landlord, and his name is Bramlett Bateman. Get that?
Bramlett?
Bramlett's his first name. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and it's spelled
man.
I know.
Oh, I want to look him up on Ancestry. That's
and
not a common first name at all.
It's not a common first name, so I thought that was interesting. But evidently, and also additionally, he was, he owned this land that they were sharecropping, and he was the head of this very prominent family. The Bateman family was very prominent in this area.
The Bateman family, like Jason Bateman?
Jason Bateman, yes. And what's his sister name? Justine? I don't know.
Justine Bateman, yes.
Yes, like those Bateman. So Bateman.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was about to sing the song from that Family Tie show. Na 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 na. Yeah, anyway, go ahead.
I'm a little concerned. No, sing it at the end. I'm going to make a note. I'm going to make you sing it at the end. But Bramlett Bateman observed the strange creature. I know, this strange creature. And so he hurried into Newport reporting, what he'd seen. Evidently, I did read that he even wrote out, what do you call that? When you you're so serious about what you saw, he wrote out an affidavit and signed it and dated it.
An affidavit.
Yes. So this is very serious. So Bateman observed the creature. He ran into Newport. He's reporting that he'd seen a beast in the White River, and he reported
so it scared the crap out of him.
It scared the crap out of him. Listen to this. He said that it was as big as a boxcar and slick like an elephant without any legs. This is what he's saying. And then so after this happened, you're laughing.
Well, because poor thing. I mean, everybody's giving it these horrible descriptions. I mean, it's gonna have a complex.
Hideous. It's a monster.
It's gonna have a complex.
Yeah. I guess we need to be body positive about the White River Monster.
Let's be body positive about the White River Monster, guys.
It was beautiful. Okay, so after, Bateman comes forward because he's, very prominent. So he's, people are listening to him. A dozen or so other witnesses, including the Jackson County Deputy Sheriff, also step in to collaborate this story. So this story is like taking like shape. Like this is serious. Even though the sighting was 6 miles south of Newport, people around, like they start to surround the river in town. So they're going in town Newport. Everybody's like checking out the river. The river is just a constant viewing point at this time. So across the country, these news articles are everywhere. And even Time magazine runs a 500-word article on the happenings in Newport. And this is their August edition. Wow. So this would be 1937, Time magazine, August. So
wow,
people check that out. So Bateman decides to kind of, capitalize. He's a businessman. He's got to make some money. So he decides to start charging 25 cents a head to hang out on his property.
Well, yes. That's innovative.
It is. I mean, he's smart. He's like, hello, everybody come out and you can see the White River Monster. So according to this article in this Skeptical Inquirer that I found online, and this came from an article in 2018, but it's saying that the name of the creature, of the White River Monster, the nickname Whitey was given to the White River Monster, even though everyone that had seen the creature said it was gray in color, which is like he said it looked like an elephant. But they, because it's the White River Monster, this thing has a nickname, Whitey. So that's what you'll kind of see its name as, Whitey. And this gets interesting. I'll tell you what my thoughts are on this Whitey name because of what we saw yesterday, but that's later on. So this story continued to skyrocket around the country. And then, especially when it was announced that a famous diver from Memphis was hired by the Chamber of Commerce there in Newport to come in and investigate the site where the monster was spotted. So this diver's name was Charles B. Brown. And this was considered an unofficial holiday whenever he came to town, to start his first attempt. So there are pictures. I will post this picture. He is legit in a diving suit, like to go deep water, what you would see like,
So he is ready to get it. He's ready to get in there and find it.
Yes. And he's thinking in his head that this is just a large fish that has been sighted. So that's what he's thinking. But so he makes his first attempt. I guess he goes down in the morning, and this is 1937, kind of after this, because the sighting happened in like July, I believe. So this is holiday. Everybody's, around. So everybody's watching his attempt. So he puts on his diving suit, and then he also decides to take an 8-foot sharp harpoon because he is going to harpoon this animal is what his plan is.
I'm really thinking Moby Dick here. I mean, that's just like, I can't get that out of my head.
Yes, that's the imagery. Upon going down, so he went down, he was gone underwater for 75 minutes, it states in this article. So when he comes up, he notates that the visibility, he didn't see anything, he didn't catch anything. The visibility was only 3 inches in front of his face. And basically for most of the time underwater, he was just caught up in the mud. So there was just a lot of mud in the river. Obviously, this is a river. It's mud. Right. So he went back in. So later that day, he decided to go back in. So he went in, came up, nothing. And then the next day, so kind of people are losing interest. And so the next day, attendance was kind of falling off, and he decides, to go down. But as soon as he went down, I guess he had his air valve jammed in his helmet, so he just popped up to the surface. So he didn't really make like a huge third attempt. And it states that after this third attempt, the crowds had kind of left, they were kind of like, oh, okay. And so did he. So he was like, I'm done. Like he made 3 attempts in the muddy waters, and he, it came back fruitless. So Charles B. Brown was a no-go. So he was a no-go. So during all this coverage, a woman named Ethel. Oh, yes. Okay. Oh, it's okay. I don't know. It's still counting on my side, but I don't know. Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
On.
Okay, so during all of this coverage there in 1937, a woman named Ethel Smith of Little Rock, she came forward and stated she had seen the creature years earlier, around 1924, while vacationing with her husband and children. So elements of her description went between it was making a loud blowing noise, but never did show its head or tail. And it was a terrible looking thing with dingy gray crusted hide, and it frightened her. Yeah, and it frightened her really badly. So this was in 1924. a local fisherman also came forward and said that in 1915 he had also seen the creature at that same site. So yeah, so they're kind of everything that they hear typically is just a creature, very large, very not cute looking.
Not cute.
Yes. Meanwhile, so all of this, fanfare is going on. And so the town of Newport, during this time, they decide to capitalize on all this. They end up putting like a dance floor along the river. They get food and festivities going, just kind of like a big celebration. So experts say the city of Newport allegedly gained $9 million worth of free publicity from this whole situation, especially, it was Time Magazine talking about this.
Well, everybody likes a good monster story.
Everybody loves a good, and at this time, so around the country, though, at the same time, what was going on in the country was that Amelia Earhart was missing. But the people of Newport did not care because they were focused on the White River Monster.
Well, I care. I'm a big Amelia Earhart, fan.
Me too.
I read about all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, I really think she was alive for a while on an island. I'm one of those people.
Yeah, I hope she was. I don't know. It's sad to think of the alternative, but
yeah.
Yes. So this was again 1937. So about a year later, the Newport Independent newspaper also states in July of 1938 that the White River Monster, they actually ran a column, or, a story, and it said the caption said the White River Monster is finally landed. And in this article, it states that the monster is no more. That Alvin Burson and Bill Ingalls, they caught a 145-pound alligator gar on a trout line.
Oh, interesting.
So they claim that it's gone. So the gar was notated at being 6 feet long. Now, gars, and it does state this in the article, gars can be up to 12 feet long. So, and according to all the other speculations, this thing was huge. So, do I believe that the 6-foot gar was the culprit? I think not. But that's just me. But alligator gar are pretty, those things are pretty crazy looking. So, that is one of the pictures that we'll post as well, an alligator gar. And we will be posting along once this episode is out. So,
yeah, and there's so many news articles from way back. Yes, and I've read several of them too.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So this was all in the 1930s. So there is kind of a lapse in sightings. So it's kind of like everything died down as far as articles, as far as sightings between 1940, but his resurrection is coming. So later in 1971, there will be another big to-do with the White River Monster. It's rearing its head. So one gentleman stated he caught a Polaroid of the fish, but it was even posted in the newspapers.
The newspaper, where's the Polaroid? I want to see it.
The newspaper that posted, you cannot see a thing. And evidently the actual Polaroid itself was so blurry that no one could really see anything, but it did get people moving. So 2 other men, and Ollie, it says Ollie or Oli, I don't know which one. What do you call that? What's that store in Searcy? Ollie's?
Ollie's. It's Ollie's.
So this guy is probably Ollie. Ollie Richardson and Joey Dupree launched a boat in the river near Newport, and they were headed for Towhead Island.
Towhead Island?
Towhead Island, like tow is in TOW.
Oh.
Which was a short distance from where the original sighting of the monster happened in 1937. So your Bramlett dude. So on their mission, they said that they were struck and their boat was elevated completely out of the water. So they were convinced that they landed on the back of the White River Monster. Yes. So later on in the summer, tons of sightings. So after this happened, this was in the newspaper. So this is back full force. So lots of sightings were happening and reports were coming in stating that the monster had a horn on its forehead.
Horn on its forehead?
Yes, it had a horn on its forehead, like a unicorn. I don't know.
I was just going to say, we have gone through a lot of descriptions in this last 30 minutes.
Yes. Yes. Later, yes. So, So another report said the skin appeared to be peeling off of the monster, but the skin was said to also be smooth. Okay. So at this time, a biologist said that perhaps the creature was just a large male elephant seal that has an annual molting state. And maybe
this narwhal.
There you go. Or a narwhal. And so basically he was, stating that this seal had traveled up from the Gulf of Mexico up the Mississippi and got in the White River, which we'll discuss that possibility in a moment. So with all this additional publicity going on, a Senator Robert Harvey, who's kind of from a related area in Arkansas, so he decides that the Arkansas Senate, they put together, they needed to get involved due to this being just the best interest of not only the state, but also the creature. They were very concerned about the creature and protecting.
I'm glad somebody was concerned about the creature.
Yes, finally there's concern for Whitey. So this, the state decided to protect. So they passed a resolution to establish a 48-mile riparian reserve to be known as the White River Monster Sanctuary and Refuge. This was a non-binding resolution made in its unlawful. It made it unlawful to molest, kill, trample, or harm the White River Monster while it's in. Sorry, I'm switching pages. While it's in its native retreating. So this was spoken in AY Magazine article that they state that there was they go on to state that there were no violations reported against this resolution. So no one has ever gotten in trouble for such harm. So the White River Monster is a protected monster, specifically. Even though we don't even know if it truly exists, but to me that says how much we feel like it is.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's pretty wild. That he is if it's a he, it could be a woman or a female.
A female fish,
a female or reptile. I don't know.
Can't they go back and forth if they're a reptile? So maybe it's a he/she.
I'm
not even going to go there. Okay.
I have no idea. But some of the articles I was pulling said that an alien dude thought that it could be like an alien, and yes, there's several articles about it fitting the description of an alien of some kind.
That is ridiculous.
Yes.
Interesting. So there was a biologist. He actually lived between 1925 and 2013, but his name was Roy Mackle. So he was a biologist as well as a cryptozoologist, and he did a lot of work featuring the White River Monster. So he would write a book called Searching for Hidden Animals, and he wrote this book in 1980. And if you're interested, the pages in this book that relate to the White River Monster would be pages 197 to 208. But
did he stick to animals or whatever in Arkansas, or was this just like a nationwide thing?
I believe it was a nationwide, but I believe it was Arkansas. But I think it was kind of a national book situation.
Okay, but I'm going to look him up.
Yeah, look him up. He brought a great deal of expertise and what was said to be good sense to the subject. So Mackle was persuaded to think that all of these encounters were true. He felt like there was definitely a creature, there that people were seeing. He said, except for the size, there is a remarkable consistency among the different witnesses. So just the size thing gets in the way, and there can be no doubt that a real animal or animals had been observed.
So it could be a species of some kind of animal that we just haven't pinpointed.
Yes, he felt like there was just, kind of using my own, a lot of smoke. So maybe there's some fire going on there. But yeah, he felt like there was definitely something there. So even as near to us date-wise as 2007, the Newport Independent posted an article in 2007 to say it reflected, or the article reflects, a 26-foot tuna, almost 2,000 pounds.
I'm sorry. I keep
Are you
thinking
laughing?
of The Office when, what's his name? Calls the dude Big Tuna.
Big tuna.
Hey, Big Tuna.
Well,
that is a big tuna.
26 feet. I mean, this sounds crazy. It was caught in Oil Trough, Arkansas, and his name was Buford Petcher. I'm going to butcher his name.
The tuna's name was Buford?
No, the person that caught this tuna,
okay,
his name was Buford Petcher. And
Buford the big tuna.
Yes, the big tuna. Oh, he caught a huge tuna. And basically, this beastly fish was thought to be the infamous White River Monster.
Really? What year was that?
This was 2007.
I want to see Buford and his big tuna.
Listen to this. Buford knows that sometimes fish can come up from the Gulf of Mexico, like we mentioned, via the Mississippi, and they make their way into the White River, because obviously a tuna is a saltwater fish. But according to the article, the giant fish they put him in like one of those pod canisters to get him into Newport. And then the article states that the tuna was cut up into tuna fish sandwiches. Yes, but the head of the fish was kept for viewing on the Mary Woods No. 2 paddle boat that is there in the port of Jacksonport.
Wow.
So you could view, and this was in 2007, so I don't know what happened, maybe they saved its like head or the bone, I don't know. But yes, so you can view this. This was a huge
I'm looking
today.
at a picture of it right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It just shows the head in that picture, which we will post that picture as well.
That is crazy.
But 26 feet. I mean, do you know how big that is?
Yes, and I don't think these people are making this up out at the
No,
White River.
I mean,
they saw something.
Something
ate was there.
This tuna. They ate it.
They ate the tuna.
I mean, it said it was tuna. I love tuna. This is a side note, but I do love tuna fish sandwich. Like tuna fish salad.
But I don't know if I want to eat them anymore.
Yeah, I mean, they ate whitey. Ugh. These
are huge. I'm looking at big tuna on the Google images, and these are huge. I mean, to me, that's the most plausible explanation of what people are seeing in the White River.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, so this little tidbit, are you listening? So This is a shout out to one of our listeners.
I'm listening, Big Tuna. Can I call you Big Tuna?
You are not calling me Big Tuna. You can call me Sassy Tuna. How about no? So one of our focus, Amber. This is interesting. This is from one of our listeners. Okay, so one of our listeners. So I did put it out there. We did kind of do a post yesterday. So one of our listeners named T-Bone, and we just love our listeners, and I love his name. I mean, that's his
T-Bone.
name on Facebook, and this was on our Facebook. So T-Bone on our Facebook.
What's up, T-Bone? How are you?
Remember that Seinfeld episode? Anyway, moving forward. So George wanted to be called T-Bone, but this guy is actually T-Bone. So T-Bone, he submitted on Facebook that he has seen the White River Monster. Now, he did not give a date, so I'm assuming this is a recent thing, because ever since he has seen the monster, he fishes every day trying to see it again.
Wow.
And he stated that it's like nothing he's ever seen before. He said the creature didn't seem aggressive at all. What he saw looked like a sea lion or a seal of some kind, but was the size of 2 full pickup trucks. I mean, he's saying it's huge. So his thinking is he believes it's too big because it's been eating up a ton of the big game fish in the area. And he did say the creature has big black eyes, and he did not see its tail because it was under the water. And so he said that the creature hangs out down around the freeway bridge coming into Newport from Searcy. And there's tons of, farmland and cattle, he mentioned. So this is from T-Bone. He swears that he has definitely had an encounter with the White River Monster to this day, and he continually tries to find it. So T-Bone.
Wow.
He's out there.
Well, good luck to T-Bone.
I know.
Yeah.
So now, kind of my last notes on this story, and there are tons. So I did watch many YouTube videos on this. We've mentioned her in the past, that Amber Vance that does some TikTok videos. She evidently has YouTube as well. She doesn't do a lot of activity on the YouTube, but she does have a White River Monster one, so you can look that up, and I'm sure it's on her TikTok as well. But she kind of mentions all of this related information in about a 2-minute form. So it does so we went yesterday, we kind of talked about that at the beginning. We went yesterday to Newport because that was the place it said to go. And then a lot of our people on the Facebook, we have a Gage on our Facebook, he said to go to Jacksonport. So again, Max was with us. We did go to the library. The library there in Newport has a whole folder. And so a lot of the pictures that I'll post comes from that folder. So they, over the years, when people go to Newport, they'll go to the library and ask them about it. So they've just put together this folder of information. So one of the librarians yesterday, there were 2 librarians there. One of the librarians, I asked her thoughts on the White River Monster, and she stated that when you combine beer and fishing, that you will see anything.
That's pretty funny.
But I will say this, but she mentioned, so this is from this library. The other librarian that was watching, you could see in her eyes that she believes totally in the White River Monster. So the one is, I feel like they were 50-50 split. There's like a 50-50 split. But the town of Newport has really, it's, the librarian that stated that about the beer and such, she did mention that it is very much a tourist item. And so they have a whole mural, and we did already post the mural. So the mural makes the White River Monster look like Pete's Dragon, does it not?
Yes, and I told you that yesterday when I was taking the picture. Well, no, afterwards I said, yeah. No, wait, you said that. You're the one that said it looked like Pete's Dragon.
Did I
was talking. That? Well, we were talking about Pete's Dragon, which that's not like something that you talk about often. But yeah, it does.
I hate that movie, by the way. I don't know what it is.
How do you hate Pete's Dragon? It's
like the 70s, and like
treasure.
I just can't.
How do you hate Pete's Dragon?
I've always hated that movie. I never wanted to watch it. I was like, this is ridiculous. And the dragon was so it was a cartoon dragon. Anyway, the mural makes Whitey look green like Pete's Dragon. And a lot of people do. Like, when we're going through these stories, like they're talking about the White River Monster, is the White River Monster related to Nessie, the Lochness Monster? That came up a lot, that Nessie, this was like another Nessie. This was like the Southern Nessie.
The Southern Nessie.
Probably has a Southern drawl. But anyway, all of the encounters always discuss how Whitey is gray, but yet this mural makes Whitey green. So that was very interesting to me. So just FYI, people. But yes, you really need to go check out Newport. Newport has a lot to offer in the respects of a really good dining experience in the Angry Possum. So we did.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I loved the Angry Possum.
Yes. I told Elle that we literally had what's called roadkill dog, which is just, it is a hot dog. It is a chili cheese dog. And I will say it sounds disgusting when you call it the roadkill dog, but it was so good. It was it was
really good.
It was so good. It was one of the best chili cheese dogs ever. I added mustard to mine. It was so good. And I had onion rings. I know you got the fries. It was so good. Like, it's just downtown Newport. So check out the Angry Possum. And we did talk to one of the owners, and it's just a really cool place. They had just moved into this building. The restaurant's not new, but their location is new there. So definitely go check that out. So that's all I have. That's all I have on the White River Monster. My viewpoint is very much like that biologist and cryptozoologist. I I believe there's something there. I don't think
I do
people
too.
would make that up.
But
I believe T-Bone's story. I believe his experience.
T-Bone's story. Yeah.
I do. I mean, yeah.
I think
something.
I am going with the big tuna story. So,
I like.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really think it's interesting about the male elephant seal.
The male elephant.
Because it does fit some of the descriptions, but then you have the alligator gar situation, which is fitting. So I think that there's multiple creatures. There's multiple whiteys.
Maybe so. Yes. And
what do you think?
The one with the fish head and the male body. I sent you a picture a while ago. Did you get that? It was like a guy in a business suit with a fish head.
Yes. We need to post that too. And I do think it's telling that right now Amber is wearing her Bigfoot riding on Nessie shirt.
I am wearing that shirt. I love this shirt.
I think that's
get this
fitting.
on Amazon. It's so cool. Okay, so
we
let's
have
do
pod
some
business.
Yes.
Okay,
Go ahead.
In this episode, last episode we did do a shout out, and we actually got a Patreon. So this is about Patreon. Go check us out. You can, as little as $1, you can support your beloved host of Unexplained Arkansas, which is Lisa and Amby, and she's wearing a Nessie shirt. So we do have Sharon M. I won't say her full name because I think that, I don't know, to be nice, but Sharon M is one of our shout out today, our new
up,
Patreon.
Sharon? Hey,
Sharon. We love Sharon. We love all of our Patreon people. We talked about Kim. We talked about Katie. We have several now, and we're just so appreciative of anyone that's willing to, to support us. And and really, the biggest way to support us right now also is to go on YouTube. So everyone everyone listening, please go on YouTube and subscribe because that's really huge. I'm also I don't check out our Apple. I did check out Apple today, but go give us 5-star ratings. We have some great ratings on Spotify and Apple, but anywhere you listen, give us a 5-star rating. So those ratings help us tremendously as well. It puts us on people's radar and gives us more, listens. And of course we hit over 50,000. We are out there on a lot of, things. We are almost literally at 85, 100 listens just on YouTube alone. So the listening is gaining. So
people are asking, you started a Patreon. Why did you do all that? Blah, blah, blah. We did that because we want to support our habit. And also because and it helps when we explain to our family why we're doing all this. Hey, we're paying for our own stuff here, so yeah.
But so far we have paid there. We don't have obviously a lot of costs, but we do want to dive into merchandising. We did have to set up a lot of things for our business. So anyway, so
we have an LLC now too, for sure. And I think that making this making this dream come true. I mean, it takes a lot of effort, and we're going to be putting extra effort in this summer because neither one of us are working. So you probably will see more of us online, and you might just see us in your little towns or cities or whatever. Yeah, no, you may
on the person.
You may see us in person. We are going from place to place, and we are looking for new places to try. We love to try new restaurants. So when we're looking for our unexplained story research stuff, we also want some really good food. So if you have any restaurants that you would recommend to us, send those our way as well. And we do want to remind you that we do have the P.O. Box. It's P.O. Box 120, Searcy, Arkansas, 72145. You can drop us a postcard, and we do hang up our postcards and stuff, and we will send you something in return. We'd love to do that. And finally, please remember that if you do join Patreon, we have our premium show, which is called Horror Heifers. Yeah, we are going to have to rename that. But it's called Horror Heifers right now. And it is going to premiere here in just actually about a week. So
Yay.
we are going to do our first episode on the movie Scream, and there'll be lots of banter. So if you are pro banter, then this is going to be an episode for you. Which, if you joined our Patreon, you're definitely pro banter, and you like to listen to our nonsense.
Yes,
and that's what Horror Heifers is going to be all about.
And you're definitely into horror movies and heifers.
Yes.
Equally.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Okay, so
Okay.
so that's it. That's all for the White River Monster, but we do have a lot of things to actually show you, and we will put those on Facebook. We have some articles and some pictures, and then you can make your own decision. You can kind of do your own judgment here. What is the White River Monster? Is it big tuna, or is it
an alligator gar?
Is it an alligator? What is
it? The size of boxcars?
Yes, but definitely something's there.
Yes.
I 100% believe something is there.
Yes.
So that's it.
So
okay, Lise. So that's all we have for today. So thank you so much.
We love ya.
Love ya. Bye.